Disc brake pads are one of the biggest consumable items on your bike. These are probably one of the things you'll need to replace more often than anything else. But what a lot of people don't realize, as these brake pads are wearing out, they're slowly wearing the rotor to be thinner and thinner. So what a lot of people don't realize, or they don't know how to check, is there's a minimum thickness on these rotors. So as the brake pads wear out, they'll slowly get thinner and thinner and thinner, and then there'll be a minimum thickness at which these need to be replaced. The minimum thickness is dependent on the rotor brand, but it's pretty consistent across most rotors you see out there. So all the standard Shimano and SRAM rotors are 1.8 millimeters from brand new. The minimum thickness on those 1.8 millimeter rotors is 1.5 millimeters. It will pretty much always be listed on one of the arms of the rotor, like either etched or written on the rotor. It will say something like min thick 1.5 or something along those lines. The other biggest standard in disc rotors is TRP rotors. These are 2.3 millimeters thick from brand new, and these have a minimum thickness of 1.8. If you can't find it on the rotor what the minimum thickness is, just get on Google and have a search for Tektro minimum thickness rotor or something along those lines and you'll figure it out. So that's all we need to know to measure your rotors, and now we're going to show you how to do it. Alright, so time to measure your rotors. There's one tool you're required to do this job, which is a set of vernier calipers or measuring calipers. Digital ones are really easy to use, but you can also get analog ones like this. Without this tool, it's going to be very hard to do this job. So first thing we need to know is the brake rotor will wear out on the braking surface. What we'll typically find though is the pad will sit right in the center of the rotor surface, and it will typically leave a little lip right on the outside here, like that, which will still be nice and broad. So pretty much all rotors will have a cutout or like a divot somewhere along the rotor, and this gives us an opportunity to measure in to the center part of the rotor past a potential lip if there is one on the outside. So we'll grab our caliper, make sure it's zeroed out. We can take our rotor, find the position where we can get into the center part of the rotor, and we can take a measurement. So this one here is 1.21. This is absolutely worn out, this one. But if you find, what you'll find, if I measure right on the outside up here, it still says 1.7 basically. So to really get an accurate measure, we need to be measuring as close to the center as we can. This one here is a TRP rotor, which was 2.3 millimeters thick from factory. So these ones have a minimum of 1.8. So let's check this one out. Oh, look at that. 1.6 down from 2.3. That's heaps of wear. These two rotors here are pretty worn out, but let's show you what happens when you totally ignore this and keep riding and riding and riding. This. Let's measure this one. Huh, 0. Now that you know how to measure your own rotors at home, I would recommend you do this every time you change your brake pads or every time you do a bit of a general service on your bike at home. You don't have to take the rotors off to do this. You can certainly squeeze the caliper on whilst it's on the bike. So go home, measure your rotors today and see how they are. And if they're okay, go for a bike ride.